All right, everybody, welcome to Tackling Tacos, a fishing podcast. If you're just listening to this, you'll already notice it doesn't sound the same, which I kind of apologize for, I guess. I'm actually in Madison, Wisconsin right now, our state's capital. I am down here for some training. I work for the state of Wisconsin now, and I'm down here for the next 5 weeks doing a bunch of trainings, and we're not just going to stop the podcast for it. And I didn't want to lug down the whole soundboard, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then Lola is on her way to Florida to hang out with family. So if you can get through the change in audio quality, then I think we got a really dope, I think, unique podcast for episode 41. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, that's for sure a unique one, and one I think a lot of people will like and can relate to, because if you're watching this, you fish, and if you fish, you got to take care of your stuff. So that's what this one's all about. So we got a good guest on today that's going to tell us all the ins and outs on how to take care of your stuff and make it work well, or in some cases even better than
upgrade.
So,
I was watching some of his videos, and you know how when somebody's in a certain something, whatever that something is, whether it's football, which we're kind of watching here in the background, or it's fishing, or it's car stuff, whatever, and people are really in that culture, whatever, when they talk, it's really obvious that they know their crap. You know what I'm saying? It's not they're overusing technical terms. It's just this dude knows what he's saying. This dude is smart. If you watch this dude's videos on YouTube, it's pretty clear, pretty quick, that he knows his crap forwards, backwards, sideways. And we're going to talk to him about a whole myriad of topics tonight, but we're going to focus a lot on what Nate said, cleaning, lubing, maintaining rods and reels, upgrading reels. And if you're not about that life, you can actually use him to do it. He has a business where he does that. And we'll get into all this later. But when you go to his website, to me, at least, his prices are insanely affordable for what he's doing and the quality of which he's doing it. So that should be rad. But Nate, before we jump off in the podcast, can we have a brief moment of silence? The Packers season is over. It's over, but I don't know. I'm still sort of on the fence about how I feel about this. And this is so dorky, what I'm about to say to you, but it's the actual truth. I literally lost sleep last night because of that game. I woke up multiple times thinking about the 5 or 6 ways we could have won that game, from some ref calls that I thought were really, really bad, to bad play calls, to bad execution, to the second half where it felt like each phase of the game was hey, you guys want to lose this? I got you. Missed field goal, terrible defense, bad offense, Jordan Love throwing picks, which both of those were 100% his fault that he threw. The last one, I don't, for the life of me, understand what he was trying to do. I mean, there's rules in quarterbacking, you don't want to throw across your body. He threw across his body. He threw into triple coverage. At no point in that route was Christian Watson open. It was raining. He threw a lame duck. There's about a half dozen things he did wrong on that throw alone. But then at the same time, and I want to get your ideas on this, Nate, tackling tacos and footballs. At the same time, though, it's nobody even thought the Packers would make the playoffs. Most people didn't think the Packers would have a 500 season, and we had a game over 500, make the playoffs, beat the brakes off the Dallas Cowboys, basically beat the Niners, and then just kind of made some really stupid mistakes at the end. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think it was a whole mixture, like you said, of missed opportunities. You can't win ball games when you have 2 gimme interceptions that you just dropped in the breadbasket. Yeah. Oh, one was a pick six. I mean, those are game-changing moments, and when you're not able to seize those moments, you tend to struggle, and that's kind of what we've done over the past, few weeks when we got on a roll and we're looking good, and it was, season opportunities, making the most of, what was going on. And that was not the case last night. I guess hats off to the Niners defense for making it tough, making it tough on us. But like you said, we shouldn't have been there, but it's still a game. I think we should have won.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, but successful season, and hopefully off season can be positive. Maybe find a new kicker, get some stuff figured out, figured out on the defense, and get out and play some ball.
Yeah, I told Lola, I'm like, if it was up to me, Monday morning, I'm talking about midnight, let it just be Monday, so it's the start of the work week, and Joe Barry, the defensive coordinator, and Anders Carlson are both done. Just ghost. Yes. And then you build from there. As soon as you can possibly get rid of those two suckers, and I wish them well. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Yep, that's a fact. I think on my Facebook or something like that, I made a post right after the game that said Mason Crosby would have made that kick.
Mason, he absolutely 40. Yeah, I mean, honestly, and like I don't know. Have you ever tried to kick a football, Nate? Like kick a football off a tee or off somebody's hold? It is really difficult.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure.
Like it's so hard.
It's not an easy feat for the common man, for sure. And I played football for a lot of years, so I've definitely given it a try myself. Yeah. But yeah, I mean.
But 41 for an NFL kicker, that's 95% of the time.
Yeah, and that's not much extra further. Point. Exactly, not much further than today's extra point. Like the snap wasn't the greatest, but
he got it set in time though.
The placeholder caught it and set it quick. Like the placeholder did a great job. The snap wasn't great, but the placeholder
it was low and off to the side, but it was more than good enough for an NFL kicker to put. And the thing is by three, ironically, since that's what a field goal would have given us right there. But by 3, he had the most missed kicks in the NFL this year. 3 more than the dude closest to him. I'm sorry. Like the kickers are, I don't want to say they're a dime a dozen, but they're not quarterbacks. Like homeboy's got to go. But let's transition out of that before I start crying and whatever. So today, quick story time. Today, me and Lola, our oldest child, Kennedy, had a volleyball tournament. And you know how there's like that real common phrase, white people tacos, where you have like just a hard shell, beef, shredded cheese, lettuce, maybe some tomatoes if you're fancy, whatever. Have you ever partaken in the white people nachos?
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, I mean, yeah, just like
well, kind of, yeah. This is this place called Beyond the Baseline in Davenport, Iowa. Shout out, cool company, honestly. Yeah, cool place, good people, honest people. Huge gym with like 6 full volleyball courts. Like just a cool spot. Owner was a super cool dude. Anyway, in their little cafeteria, they had. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm doing air quotes. And if you do air quotes, if you bend at the bottom, it looks funnier. Like this is funny, but this is funnier. That's how Chris Farley used to do it. Bending at the bottom, it's funnier. They had what they call deluxe nachos. And I said, what's on the deluxe nachos? He said, well, and I said, give me that. Like I didn't even let him describe it. Right. It was just nacho cheese, like those big round kind of crappy tortilla chips. And then they just put like some crappy ground beef on there, some crappy salsa. There's a theme here of crappiness. Those really thick, like crappy jalapenos that they get out of a giant jar or like a can. You know what I'm saying?
Big old jar, yeah.
A big old like industrial size can, and then some sour cream. And I think that was it. And like, dude, it was so good. It was so dope.
I thought you were gonna get there. I was thinking to myself, there's times where you put enough crappy ingredients together that something just works.
It's dope.
It's a spot. Yeah, it's a spot.
Yeah, I don't think what's his name, Gordon Ramsay. I don't think he would like exactly be stoked about it. But like, dude, it was just good. Like, I don't think Wolfgang Blitzer's going there. Isn't that his last name, Blitzer, the chef? To Wolfgang Puck. Isn't that his name? Okay. Yeah. Who's Wolfgang? Wolf Blitzer. That's a news guy. Anyway, we'll edit that out. No, we won't, but I can't talk. Dude, press pause, dude. So last week, we did our hopes and dreams episode. And what you didn't see, because we didn't have it on video, it was just audio because we were having internet issues. Lola is sitting to my right. And I think I was talking about the 2 ways I wanted to get better at fishing this year. One was jerk baits, and then the other was big swim baits. And as I'm talking about big swim baits, Lola is off to the side hacking up a lung, just going. And I feel so bad for her that I'm like, distracted is my wife, you know what I'm saying? Like I would step in front of a train for her. She's over here like coughing up a lung while I'm talking about swim baits. And I don't always, but sometimes I go back and listen to our episodes. And on that episode, as I'm talking about swim baits in that context, I said something to the effect of, you know, I have a bunch of fish 30 acre stuff and I ordered that shad, and then I have a Spro, a Roku shad. What I meant to say was the Storm Arashi Glide. But for whatever reason, in my distraction, I named a lipless crankbait.
Lipless crankbait. Yeah, I remember that. I do remember that point. I'm
idiot.
Like, a Roku shad. I'm like, huh.
Yeah. So people, I thank you for being kind. I thank you for not being like on the swim bait underground where people would have just ripped my head smooth off my shoulders for saying something that stupid.
Right.
But Nate, also like be my friend. Correct me if I say something that dumb again.
I got you next time.
Spro. And I said the brand. I said Spro even. Spro Roku shad instead of saying Storm Arashi Glide. But golly. Anywho. All right. That's embarrassing. Also, I don't even know a lot about it, but have you been seeing this just in? Beep, 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 beep. Have you been seeing this beef with Milliken and homeboy? What's his name? Lunkers TV.
Oh, Rob Turkla.
Rob Turkla. Yeah. Have you been seeing this?
I have not. No. Huh?
Goodness. I suggested to watch it.
I knew Milliken wasn't a big fan of like, you know, the whole Guggen
thing. Yeah, he calls him like a boy band and stuff. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so I knew that was the case, but I didn't know that they had like an actual beef going on. I had no idea.
Like when we get off this podcast, dude, like look up the Lunkers TV, and he has a shoot ton of subscribers. I think he has like 2 million. Like, and honestly, like no diss to him there. Like that dude's been grinding hard on YouTube for a long time. High quality, high content, consistent. Like no hate whatsoever. He's a veteran. You won't hear me say a bad word about homie, but he just put out a video. It's like 20 minutes long, and he just tears into Sixth Sense and Ben Milliken, makes fun of the new Hangover swim bait, shows it rolling in his pool. He's trying to reel it in, like tipping upside down. I mean, I was like, holy mastacholi.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I haven't seen that.
I'm not trying to be a little gossip or whatever. It's just an interesting deal because usually, like in this culture, like in fishing, people will sort of like take little like pot shots, little surreptitious jabs, kind of under the table, and like not usually like a rap battle.
Forward, yeah,
dude, it's wild.
Straight up rat beef, old school rat beef.
Yeah, dude. What's the 27-24 still? Kansas City over the Bills in the FOF.
Jeez Louise.
9 minutes left. But also, huge shout out to our guest that we're going to bring on right now. He agreed to do this podcast, even though he wanted to watch the football game, which I super appreciate because I'm here for this training. I got to wake up super early tomorrow. So this feller that we're about to bring, do you want to do the intro, Nate? Or do you want me to?
I think you got it. Go ahead. Yeah. You're all over it already. So
okay, word up. So on Instagram, he has, and we'll let him tell you, people who are listening and or watching, we'll let him break you off on all the details, all the deets, the good stuff for his social website, all that. And I do think, man, if you fish, you should be following this cat. Trust me, that's my word's my bond. If you fish, you should follow this fellow. His Instagram, he has over 15,000 followers. YouTube, he has 5,000 followers. He does everything from like tournament fish. He works for Omega Custom Tackle. He tournament fishes. He does boat video stuff. He's a custom lure painter. And then the big because when Nate and I and Lola started this podcast, one of our big passions, one of our main thrusts was that we didn't want to have just bass tournament anglers on. We wanted saltwater guys, crappie guys, ice fishing guys, lure fanatics, and then this angle is unique, and I'm so pumped for it. He is a real REEL, Real Genius. Reels, maintenance, taking apart, lubing, cleaning, upgrading, like putting better bearings in, all that kind of stuff. Dude is just next level. If you watch his videos, it takes about 9 seconds to realize that he's smarter than you are when it comes to reels and stuff.
Yeah,
and so we're so excited. Let's bring him on here, all the way from Missouri. Just west of St. Louis, our boy Trey Harpel. Trey, thanks for coming on, dude.
What's going on, man?
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, dude, we appreciate you jumping on. Did we say your last name right or wrong?
Yeah, you're right. You're good.
Yes, Harpel.
Harpel.
Yeah.
I mean, no, you're right on that, but you were wrong on the Packers. So.
Oh, ouch, dude. Yeah, it's so hard, dude. Like, it's funny. Nate and I both actually, we're both Cubs and Packers fans, which just means like we like to be emotionally hurt when it comes to sports.
Yes,
Cubs are even worse.
Oh man, yeah. I've been a Cubs. Yeah, for sure, dude. So I've been a Cubs and a Packers fan my whole life, and so like I never had a choice in it, and I've just always been, just heartbroken. But we've had our moments. Like Packers have won, Cubs won in 15, so things could be worse. But Trey, before we get too far into this, homie, number one, thank you for being on the podcast. We're really, really excited for your expertise, your angle, different vibe, the whole shebang. And number two, take a couple minutes. Tell people who you are, what you're into.
Oh man, I'm Trey. I live just west of St. Louis, about like 25, 30 minutes away. So the fishing is absolutely amazing here. It's garbage.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's terrible. I mean, we have like the Mississippi River, which is okay. Down here, It's terrible compared to like Pool 13 and Wabasha and all that stuff, which I fished.
Yeah.
I fished a ton of Wabasha and lacrosse.
So, dope. Yeah. That's my backyard.
Yeah, it's beautiful up there. I love it.
Yeah.
But I've been tournament fishing since probably 2003, maybe. I started the normal like bank fishing and fishing down in Florida and all that kind of stuff, and then I thought I was great, and I jumped into BFLs, and I absolutely hated it.
Okay.
I fished as a non-boater, and I couldn't get over, some guys that just like they would fish a spot for 4 hours and they catch 2 keepers and they just didn't want to move and stuff like that. So I decided to go boater, and that was a much better decision.
Yeah, man. Some anglers, when you're a co, they don't give a rat's behind about how their co does. Like they don't care.
No, they don't. Mm-mm. Which I get it both ways. Like they're paying more money. It's their boat, and they're paying insurance and all this stuff, which people don't understand. And I get it, but man, as a non-boater, you're still paying money. You still drove to the lake. You still are putting in your time and your tackle and all that stuff. So it's tough.
Yeah, for sure.
No, you can learn a ton, BFLs and Toyotas, and you learn a ton from being in the back of the boat because you can bounce around from different guys, whoever you get drawn with.
Yeah. I fished a couple, 3 or 4 now, I think, Bass Opens as a co-angler years ago, and you're right. I mean, you can learn an absolute ton, but at the same instance, it can be a frustrating situation at times. Yeah, it's for sure. But
and honestly, I can't imagine being a non-boater now with forward-facing sonar and having.
That's a good point. I don't think I've ever thought about that. Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, that is.
It'd be tougher just depending on what fishery you're at. I mean, if you're maybe down in Florida, it's probably not such a big deal, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It sucks.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So how, Trey, you said you started off kind of beating up the bank and whatever. Take us back to that, like a little more detail. Who did you learn to fish from? Who took you out? Is it a family thing?
So I started really saltwater fishing. I had family down in Florida. So I fished saltwater down in like Jensen Beach, Florida, like the Indian River area for like snook and redfish and all that kind of stuff. I didn't actually get into bass fishing till probably my junior year in high school, which is like 98, 99.
Okay.
And then I just fished like 300 days. continuously.
That's awesome.
Right.
That's all I did. It was my
yeah.
neighbor. My two neighbors were really into fishing, and there was a couple ponds and lakes down the road, and we just took out like the little crawdad john boats, and we'd fish, and I'd go bank fishing literally like after soccer and hockey.
Did you have a crawdad?
My neighbor did, so I just.
Oh, those are the coolest, dude. Those old Coleman like plastic john boats.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. Those people talk about those.
It's great.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. It was amazing. So I learned from them. My parents weren't really like into fishing too much. My dad was. He did more fly fishing stuff. My uncle and all that did all the saltwater guiding in Louisiana and Florida. But yeah, that bass fishing killed me. I mean, it was bad. I went out and I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to go fish for 300 straight days. And
yeah. Heck yeah, dude.
Amazing. So yeah, I did that for a while.
I love that.
Yeah. You remember one thing about it from back in the day that like that was the deal that absolutely hooked you?
Yeah.
I've always loved being outdoors, and there's something about bass fishing that's just totally different than any other kind of fishing.
Mm-hmm.
You got your structure and I threw a spinnerbait. That's what you do when you throw a spinnerbait, or you started throwing a rubber worm, like a plastic worm.
Yeah.
That's literally about it. Or you throw the worm with the little blades on it. Like that's how you start. And I threw a spinnerbait a ton or a square.
Yeah. Did you, Trey? Did you ever throw this? This is maybe so. You and I must be close to the same age because how old are you? Can I ask you that? Is that allowed?
Yeah, I was born in 1980, so I'm 43-ish.
Yeah, I was born in 81, so right on. So the same thing for me. Like, I wasn't crazy about fishing. I would do it like one. I mean, I was and I wasn't. Like, I would fish semi-regularly, not really knowing what I was doing, like worm and bobber and whatever. And then I would go up to northern Wisconsin and we'd fish for pike and muskie, whatever. And then when I got turned on to bass fishing, just like you said, I think all the different styles of fishing, like I've told this story on here before. Like the first time I ever saw a crankbait, it was a bomber fat A. And I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. It's not going to catch fish. And then I went out and just like caught them till my hands hurt. But one of my favorite lures back in the day, when I would roll rods across the handlebars of my BMX bike, like one going this way, one going that way. So you kind of balance them out, and they're both spinning because there was no way I was rocking bait casting back then. But one of them was always one of the, I don't even know what they're called. Maybe you do. Those little pre-rigged like 3-hook worms with like the leader coming out of it, and then you tie the swivel on it, and it would just kind of slow spin. Boy, I used to wear them out on that thing, and they smelled super good. They smelled like fruit roll-ups or something. Do you remember those things?
Yeah, it was like that jelly worm or whatever they call it.
Yeah, dude, those were so cool.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, it had the little blade on the front and the little 3 like trout hooks, and I'm like,
teeny hooks. Yeah, teeny hooks. Yep. And me and my homies, like, we'd all piece together up like $1 or something, go run down to like the hardware store and buy like 2 or 3 because they were like 60 cents back then. And
they came wrapped up in that little pack. Those were the deal back in the day.
Plastic, and
rolled it up. Yeah,
wrap plastic. They came in like a 2-pack or something.
Yeah, dude, that's dope.
You didn't have to tie a knot back then.
Yeah. So so you've already said this, but I just want to get more detail because I like where your head's at and I want to hear it. So you went from bass fishing 300 days. What was are you a competitive person? What was like the thing that made you transition? Like, okay, this is dope and this is fun, but like, dude, tournament fishing could really be like, what, do you know what I'm saying? What transitioned you from just fishing to like fishing competitively?
I've always been competitive. I played competitive soccer for 20 years. I played hockey really competitively. So that kind of transitioned into let's go be competitive in fishing. And I thought after like a couple years of beating the bank and fishing a couple 100 days a year, I was like, I kind of know what I'm doing. So I jumped into tournament fishing, and then I bought like my first small skeeter bass boat.
Okay.
Like 2005 or 6 maybe.
Okay.
Like a little 15-footer. And I was like, all right, let's go jump into some local stuff. And then got into a bigger. And when we did tournaments here on the river years ago, it was phenomenal. I mean, for the river here, it was pretty good. Yeah. But that was fun. It's local, so I didn't have to drive 2 or 3 hours away. Like most of the guys from St. Louis do. They have to drive 2.5 hours to Lake of the Ozarks, which it's kind of a pain. So jumped into that. Like, if you want to go fish a tournament here, you have to drive an hour and a half minimum, maybe 2 hours. So it's pretty tough. But yeah, I jumped in and I got a bigger boat, and then I jumped into bigger tournaments.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And started winning them, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, winning is always fun for sure.
Yeah, such a dope feeling for sure.
You learn either way. I mean, it's great.
Agreed.
And you get to meet a lot of new faces and guys, and you kind of get this camaraderie of like, we're going to travel together and just kind of hang out and go fishing. It's fun.
Yeah, heck yeah.
But we did that. I did that for like, I don't know, 15 years, 14 years, and I got really burnt out.
Just doing it too much, or what?
Just doing it too much.
Yeah.
The travel, the fishing, driving. I mean, we fished tournaments down in Lake Amistad, if you're familiar with Texas.
Yeah, that's a ways.
Yeah, way down there.
17 hours from the house, so we did stuff down there.
So you just fished like one-off derbies in southern Texas, like drove all the way down?
Yeah, so we fished. My buddy and I fished this trail called the IFBBA. Okay. It was kind of like a national trail.
Okay, sure.
So Amistad was one. We won in Bob Sandlin, which is Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did like Stockton and you Kentucky Lake, and you kind of just bounced all over.
Wow, dude! How did you do in Amistad?
That place is amazing.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's nuts.
Well, we went down there and the water was like 60 feet low, maybe. So we went back in like Google Earth times and looked at all these like channels and creeks, and we found an area that was, I mean, phenomenal during practice. Catching big fish. They're all kind of spawned and the water was warm.
Mm.
We went there, and the first day of the tournament, and literally like my third cast on a football jig, I stuck one that was probably over 9, easy.
Wow.
Like easy. And it jumped, and then my buddy went to net it, and it popped right off. I don't think I yelled so loud. Like the people, they could probably hear me like a country over in Mexico. They're like, "What is this guy doing?" I'm like, "Oh, right." But,
either that or they've heard that scream before. They're like, "Oh, somebody's lost a big one." Like that pain. Like,
yeah, it was pretty bad, but phenomenal. Like, beautiful.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah,
it's awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. Neat. And we fished in like February, and we got so sunburned.
You're basically in Mexico, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
sitting right on the equator.
It was a really neat experience, and really cool. We fished like, I think it was a 2 or 3 day tournament. We fished, and then I drove straight home after the tournament.
That's sweet. Wow, I love that. I love that that raw passion. That's dope, dude.
Yeah, that's when you're a little bit younger, it's a little bit easier.
So, can I ask you this? Are you fishing derbies now again? Or are you still kind of out of it, or where are you at with the tournament thing now?
I fish every once in a while. You guys are from Wisconsin. I come to Wisconsin a ton. I have fished Wisconsin tournaments probably since mid 2000s.
Oh, okay.
I fished the English Choice in Lake Geneva.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then my buddy Randis fished the Nation, and we would fish like Delavan, Geneva, Pool 13, like Puckaway, all that stuff up there. And so I've done that for years. I absolutely love Wisconsin. Like, it's probably my second home without having a house up there.
That's awesome. Yeah, you could be a Packer fan if you want.
Yeah. My buddy that I stay with up in like Nina.
Yeah.
He's a big Packers fan.
Attaboy.
It's a good time.
Okay.
It's fun. The bars are amazing up there, so.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's fun. But yeah, I love it up there.
So what do you mentioned dragging that football jig down on Amistad? What do you prefer to fish, deep or shallow?
I prefer to throw a jig, and I screwed up. Like, that was completely 100% my fault, throwing a football jig in. It was like 8 foot of water on a rod that was made for throwing in like 20 to 25 feet of water.
Mm.
It was more of a dragging rod instead of like a flip and pitch and rod.
Sure.
Right. So I just didn't penetrate the hook deep enough to, hook the fish. So it threw it, and I knew exactly what I did, and I screwed up, and that was completely on me.
Dang. Does that make it worse or better for you, knowing that it was your fault?
Both.
Yeah.
Because I could have just picked up another rod that I knew, like, this is my shallow flipping rod.
Sure.
Right.
I knew that this heavier rod would have penetrated that hook through the barb or past the barb, and I would have been good.
Yeah.
But it's the stuff you learn that you're like, all right, lock that in your memory bank and never do it again.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, honestly, and like
for next time for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that dissimilar than what we were just talking about. How you said you learn from fishing on the bank. Like, if you're fishing a certain lure on the bank, and every time you throw it, you get it snagged. You stop throwing that one. You try something else. I mean, that's really fishing as a whole. Like, I don't know if I've told this story on here before. Maybe I have, Nate. If I have, just tell me to shut up. But for a while, the last time that I shot a decent buck bow hunting, that season, I was complaining about how much time I was spending in the woods, and I wasn't shooting anything. And I was texting my buddy Rusty about it, and he was like, well, you're always going to be disappointed if you're only going out there to kill something. Right. If you can be out there to learn every time you go, then it's never like a failure, because you can kind of mental jot down notes like, okay, well, if they didn't come out this way, just like fishing, okay, this rod wasn't the right length or action or whatever. Yeah, I think as long as you're kind of growing as you go, then you're not losing. And I've even heard Ike say it on his podcast that like fishing is the most losing, competitive fishing is the most 100%. Losing sport ever. Like you lose 99% of the time. But as long as you're growing and whatever. So before we get into all the other fishing stuff that we could go down, because I want to ask you about jigs and whatever, because I just like the last few years have gotten more into jig fishing, and it's probably one of my favorite ways to fish now. But
up there.
What'd you say?
It's awesome up there.
Oh my gosh!
With all the grass you guys have and the pads and
it's a religion up here.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's incredible. Nate, let's talk to this. Let's talk to this fella about tacos. We are so excited to have you on our podcast, and then we saw you tagged us in a story of you eating a taco. What was the taco you were eating, Trey? Tell us about it.
It was a walleye fish taco.
Walleye fish taco.
Well,
perfect.
Let's say that. Walleye.
Okay. bottom joint.
Because honestly, who knows if it's actually walleye or if it's actually like tilapia or cod? Like they could just say it's walleye. It was good. Yeah. It was fried walleye.
Nice.
Walleye tacos. They were good. We went out there for lunch. We were throwing axes.
Oh, nice. Okay.
You're throwing axes and eating walleye tacos?
Yeah, we went and threw axes first and like shooting stars or the like.
Wow. Yeah, like Chinese like throwing stars. Yeah.
Yeah, the throwing stars. So we were doing that first for like an hour or two, whatever. Like just the wife and the family. We've never done it before, so we went throwing axes.
Wow, that's an awesome day.
Yeah,
that's a solid afternoon for sure.
Mexican food. Had some tacos and margaritas.
Daggum, dude. That sounds great. Nate, hit this dude up with some taco questions. Nate, you're the chef.
Yeah. So, do you cook much? What's the last taco that you prepared? Or the wife, I
guess. Oh man, yeah. I don't. I can't. I'm terrible. I'm horrible.
Yeah.
On the meat, I will like. Yeah, I'm terrible. I've made like generic flour tacos, soft tacos, corn tacos, stuff like that. But the wife is a phenomenal cook and bake, so I let her do it.
Yeah.
Loves it.
Right.
Yeah. We haven't had tacos in a while though. We haven't had just Mexican food in probably like months. Really, it's weird.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I know it's disappointing. I like
it
tacos.
Is. You got to get up on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I could literally have tacos every day. And we've never really talked about this on here, Nate, not this specific level of it. But when I lived in Austin, Texas for a while, that was the first time I was ever introduced to breakfast tacos like at a place, like at a restaurant or something. And like, they're incredible.
Yeah.
And it's like the most simple thing ever. Like you were just saying, flour tacos, something like a soft, I don't want corn for breakfast tacos, but like a soft, fluffy flour tortilla with like some scrambled eggs, bacon, whatever, maybe a little bit of cheese or salt. Man, you can't go wrong. So you could really honestly have tacos like
all day,
every day. Yeah, literally.
For sure.
Just slap whatever.
I don't remember the guy's name. I'm going to have to look it up maybe or share it on our IG. But this guy on Instagram made a made a breakfast taco, just like we're talking about, and it looked absolutely incredible. So he's cooking on like a flat top or whatever, Blackstone something or whatever, and he throws down like jarred jalapenos or fresh jalapenos. I don't know which. It's probably fresh. And then put like cheddar cheese down like flat on the blacktop. Then put a ball of sausage on top of it and did the tortilla on top of it, like the smash,
like mushed it down like with a spatula.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, like that smash. What was it? Big
burger
Mac
taco
burger or whatever
thing.
that was. That was running all over the place. So he did exactly like that, but he did it with like breakfast, sausage and the jalapeno and the cheese with the tortilla, and then he flips it over and he puts a piece of bacon on it and a sunny side up egg with like a drizzle of like looked like sriracha or something like that, but it looked absolutely incredible. I need to give those a try because it was like I was like blown away, like, oh,
drooling on Instagram.
Exactly. Yeah. How have I never seen anything like this? So,
dude, our podcast is such a bad idea. Every time we have this podcast, I just end up hungry. Like,
oh yeah.
I thought about grabbing some tacos and like having them here.
Yeah, like you show us like some real stuff, and you show us like some taco stuff, like right next to it.
They were really good tacos.
My wife is upstairs preparing. Well, she's probably done now, but we made tacos for dinner tonight.
So you're gonna have her like run some down real quick?
I probably should send her a text and hey, can you bring?
We have Lola, like when we're doing video like for jigs and stuff. We have Lola like Vanna White the jig in front of the camera. Your wife could like Vanna White like a taco or something.
Yeah. So we ate at a little local restaurant. I think it's Azteca 4 is what it's called here in Davenport. They've got them kind of scattered all over the place, but it's pretty solid, pretty good. I guess authentic-ish Mexican food, I would say. It's probably I'd say it is. But she got a yeah. But she got like they call them taco supremes, but she got a shredded beef, and it was like a fried flour shell, the shredded beef, cheese, a little bit of lettuce, cilantro, and sour cream. And we eat there all the time. We never had the shredded beef, and she was like, "Oh my god, this shredded beef is amazing." So that's awesome. what she made tonight is the shredded beef tacos with the
Alexis, I see you.
Flour shell. Yeah, she's up there throwing it down for sure.
Point. Shout out to your wife.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm stoked to get some as soon as
yeah, dude, no doubt, man. I actually
time to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Just hang out real quick. Trey, do you partake in like the fast food tacos?
Yeah.
Taco John's, Taco Bell, any of that stuff?
We have Taco Bells here. I don't think we have Taco John's.
Okay, that's sad.
Yeah, I know. They're good.
Yeah. They are good, dude. The potato lays, man, with the cheese. That's just that's the next sponsorship we should go after for tackling tacos. Not even Taco John's, just the Olays with the cheese. Like you know how like sometimes dudes will have like a hard bait sponsor and then a soft bait sponsor, even though the like, baits, companies make both. Like we go just Olays and cheese.
Just the Olays,
yeah. Just see how that goes. But Trey, let's switch gears real quick because there's so many things I want to cover with you because you're a YouTuber, you're an influencer. Honestly, like with between those two, you have 20,000 followers right there. Tell us about YouTube and social media. What made you want to start doing that? What made you want to take your passion of fishing stuff and start doing online stuff with it?
Business.
Okay.
100%. Like if you're not doing social media with a business, you're way behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
I would say 100% of my business comes from Facebook, my business page, and Instagram.
Wow.
And some YouTube. YouTube I kind of did because I enjoyed it, and I could reach kind of a different style of media.
Sure.
Instagram and stuff is all reels or quick photos and all that kind of stuff. So you're kind of getting a snapshot.
Yeah.
Of what you're doing. So like YouTube, I kind of just went on and kind of did a branch off of more of like reviews and breakdowns and other stuff. And, but yeah, owning the business, like social media, it's bad, but I hate doing it.
Yeah. It's kind of like never done, right? It's never ending.
Yeah. I mean, you're doing it all the time. Like I have set times where the best traffic gets and all this kind of stuff. And it eats up so I went full time with the job, with the business and everything probably 7 years ago.
Okay, awesome.
So I do everything. So I do social media and the baits and reels and designing and all this stuff. So I'm engrossed in everything that I do. I don't source it out to like my wife not doing anything. Like
sure. Yeah.
I'm doing everything. So yeah, the social media part is it's tiring sometimes.
Yeah, no doubt, dude. So
yeah, I was gonna say you definitely have a lot of irons in the fire, as they say.
Clearly,
and you know, to stay on top of social media and stuff like you do, that takes a lot. So
yeah,
it takes a lot all the time.
Yeah,
I can't
for sure.
sit still. If I'm fishing, if I'm doing this, I'm doing it. Like I sit still when I'm falling asleep.
Yeah. That's a good character trait to have for somebody like you who has so many irons and so many fires like that. It makes a lot of sense. I feel like you kind of have to have that personality. Trey, tell us how you, and again, like I said, I want to touch on a bunch of different stuff, but tell us how you got into custom painting lures. Oh, actually, you know what? Hold on. Before you do that, because we were just talking about it, let's just use that as like the transition. How can people find you on social media, and what's your website, all that stuff?
So Instagram, it's at TH Custom.
And the customs with a K.
Yep. TH Custom with a K. And then Facebook is like TH Real Tuning and Cleaning LLC, which I've tried to get it over to TH Custom, and of course Facebook won't allow it because they don't think it's me and blah blah blah. I need to go through the hoops.
So stupid.
I just want everything to merge,
so
I can have the same name, on both platforms.
Yeah.
And then YouTube, I think, is maybe my first and last name.
Let's look real quick.
I think it is. I think it's Trey Harpel.
Because I started the YouTube channel back in like 2007 or 8.
Yeah, I saw that on there. 07. Yeah, you've been doing it a long time. And like, what's funny about that is when I first started kind of hearing about like influencers or YouTubers, or it's just Trey Harpel, which is Trey Harpel. Sorry, Trey space Harpel. But when I first started hearing about like YouTubers and influencers, I was like, oh, come on, shut up. You're that's not a job, dude. That's some work, dude. Like constantly putting out videos, shooting, editing, coming up with ideas all the time, constantly posting stories, constantly posting at least, 1, 2, 3 posts a day that are engaging enough. And like you said, figuring out the ever-changing algorithms of social media to where you'll get actual engagement. And with us, like the world we're in, including you, Trey, the outdoor world, it's really easy for Facebook or Instagram to think that you're posting like kill videos of animals or abuse or whatever, and then all of a sudden you get kind of like shadow banned and your crap doesn't get engagement like it should. So it's some work, dude. It's some work. So I appreciate where you're going with it. But anywho, all that, how'd you get into custom painting?
I think I was bored.
What an awesome answer.
Right.
So when I was in high school, and then a lot of my career, and then in college, I was a graphic designer.
Oh, whoa.
So I've done the airbrush stuff when I was in high school, just like basic like stenciling and airbrushing, and kind of like airbrushing like car models and stuff like that. And then it was like 15 years later, I picked up an airbrush again. I started painting baits with like just the spray cans. And I was like, this is kind of cool, and watched some YouTube videos because there were some videos out there. But I started, I would say like 2002, 2003, before it was like massive. Now you have 50,000 different guys
for sure
that do it. There's some really, really good ones, and there's guys that are like, cool, like go make some baits if you want to make enough money to like supply your gas for the weekend and stuff. It's awesome. But there's so many that have blown up in the last 5 years. COVID didn't help. I mean, COVID helped, but it didn't.
Right. Yeah. Because like you said, you were bored. There's a lot more people who are sitting around bored.
Yeah. There's a lot more people. And so I just did it as I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to, I've always been creative. So I grabbed my old beat up baits and just sprayed them and caught fish on them. And I was like, this is pretty awesome. And then I did some airbrush stuff, and then I started doing a ton. And so when I started the business, I would say I was doing 80% custom painting and 20% reels. Now it's like 90% reels. I'm going to get to you when I can get to you on baits. Like, because I am doing so many reels right now.
Yeah.
Ungodly amount of reels. And it's it takes up my time, and I've got probably a bunch of jerk baits I got to paint up this week, but I'll knock them out because I don't sleep until I sleep. So
I like that. I don't sleep until I sleep. Yeah. So Nate, what questions do you have, Nate? I'm wondering because we kind of talked about this with other guests, but like you have custom painted baits, Nate, and you are actually pretty dang good at it. Hit this dude up with some specifics, because I don't even know what to ask.
Yeah, I the last time I custom painted any baits was probably, I don't know, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. Like, it's been a long time. I think I did a couple maybe 5 years ago, but that was just like a handful I did just to paint. But like, where do you do a lot of repaints, or do you do a lot of like custom blanks, or like bulk blanks or anything or something like that?
I will pretty much do anything. I've done repaints, swim baits, blanks that I get in from my suppliers that I have. Like we've got, I do a lot of like bait testing, so I get 15 blanks of the same jerk bait. If it's a 110 or whatever it is, and you go through those. But I think what sets me apart is like I've fished a ton of areas all over the Midwest and East, North, South, from Florida to Minnesota to Maine. So I have a grasp on different forages in those regions.
Yeah, I get it. That's smart.
So if you're just localized to Missouri, you're throwing, a specific color, and you can paint that color. But since I've fished in like smallmouth country up in Michigan, St. Clair's and Sturgeon Bays and Mille Lacs and all this stuff, and
that's cool.
I kind of have a different perspective on bait colors. And with a graphic design background, I have a very unique way of being able to replicate colors. So it's just it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Do you have a favorite pattern to paint, like bluegill, a shiner, shad, something like that? Do you have something that you really enjoy? Right.
Not really. I've got like a bait that I designed. It's a wake bait. It's kind of a wake crankbait that's on Tackle Warehouse. I designed that years ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
I probably paint 25 different colors of those, but Tackle Warehouse carries my 4 standard. Yeah, that looks really good.
My taco has arrived.
Oh, there it is. Hi, Alexis.
There it is. Yeah, she's already ran off. She doesn't want nothing to do with it.
She wants nothing to do with being on camera.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah.
Hold it back up, Nate. We got to get you on the main camera here. Oh, man. Yeah, that looks really good, dude.
Yeah, that looks really good.
Yeah,
I'm in a hotel in Madison eating beef jerky. F you, dude.
Right. Yeah. So a little.
Oh my gosh, that shell.
Fried flour shell. We've got the
like a chalupa.
Kind of. Yep. And then the shredded beef that finished up in the crock pot a little while ago. We've got some Valentina's hot sauce, quesadilla cheese, cilantro, and maybe a little sour cream. So
okay, so Trey and I hate you. Just to be clear.
Go ahead. Check this out real quick.
No, come on. Don't eat on camera. I'm so jealous.
It's even worse. The Bills lost.
Yeah, I know, dude. I did not. I'm so sick of the Chiefs, man. Things are just not going well. So Trey, before we transition into what I really, really want to talk to you about, because I don't think I've ever heard of it on a podcast. Exactly. Some real stuff, some maintenance stuff, some upgrades, cleaning, all that stuff. Before we do though, as far as your custom baits, can people, I know the answer to this, but I'm just trying to help. Yeah. Can people go to your website to buy them? Can they go to your website to contact you to say like, oh, I like this bait. Will you paint it for me? How does that work? So I don't keep an inventory of baits, just because of the amount of colors I can do. And, sure. Yeah.
And so if I kept like one blank here or one bait here, I'd have to paint it in like 60 different colors. And for me, it's not viable on the business side. So I'm pretty much paint to order. So if you order like a bunch of orders I got in, like I got those in, so now I can go paint them and have a reference of like, all right, so I need 20 of these, 30 of these, 40 of these, and not sit on 20,000 baits that I hope I could sell.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So, especially now when I'm doing so many reels, I don't like to keep a huge inventory of baits other than the microwave weight baits for Tackle Warehouse.
Okay. Yeah, that's really smart. I get it. And so like if somebody hits you up on your website, I assume there's like contact information on there or whatever. I'm Mike Smith and I find your website and I email you and say, hey, Trey, they've been killing it on like gizzard shad patterns, but I was thinking it'd be cool to have one with like a little purple on the back. What can you do that kind of thing? Like, can you customize craft for people?
Yep, I do a lot of custom stuff. Like guys have specific colors they use in 1936, and they cost $626 and they're like, hey, "I lost it. Can you paint it?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I just need a picture.
That's cool.
You know,
that's
which
awesome.
is cool because I get a lot of custom stuff that guys have like unique custom colors they want to do for their specific lake they want to fish.
Dude, that's cool, man. So yeah, if anybody's listening to this or watching this and you heard that, that is freaking dope because everybody has that lure they threw when they were a kid or that they don't want to throw that's in their tackle box because they don't want to lose it. So you can hit up Trey at his website and actually request a specific color and he will create or recreate that color for you. Like that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. It's a little different. In Instagram, I get messages.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hit them up on Instagram, whatever. But that's really neat. Yeah. That's a cool. That's almost.
I get messages 4 a.m. I'm like, what are you guys doing up at 4 a.m. And
leave me alone.
Right.
Yeah.
But you don't sleep anyway. So what do you care?
Yeah. I'm like, all right, cool.
Wake up like start spraying stuff up.
Yeah. Get the compressor going and I'm ready to roll.
Yeah. That's cool, dude. Hey, what are those pictures behind you on the wall there?
So a lot of that is from
yeah, it's really hard. Yeah, it's awkward. Yeah,
that one is Lake. I say that
okay.
One's Lake. That's like a 7 or 8 pounder in my first skeeter.
Oh, cool.
That way. That's in a pond up north. That is a tarpon. That is a bass from Florida on Stick Marsh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool, man. I love old photos like that because nowadays it's almost like photos are too easy. Like with everybody having an iPhone, where back then in those days you had to want a picture, you had to develop it or take a disposable and throw it
like Walgreens and get them to print it out, and you'd have to wait 2 hours, whatever.
Yeah, it was a totally different ball game.
And then this is my prototype wake bait.
Oh, cool.
So I threw it up there because it's the first one I ever built. So
yeah, heck yeah, dude, that's awesome. Cool. I love that kind of stuff. And your tackle room looks like it's exploding, yes?
Yeah, so I've got
a fishing room or whatever you call it.
Yeah, so I've got a bunch of rods over here, and I've got a bunch of rods like in the corner over here that I had to take out of the boat because it was like minus 27
million. Yeah, it's been so obnoxiously cold. Yeah. And you got a new boat, yeah? Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, it's a 21. 22.
I mean, that's a new boat. Yeah, that's a new one. I'm only bringing it up because Nate is a Phoenix guy, and you got a Phoenix. Is that right?
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love that boat.
Yeah, tell us about it. Give us specifics. Give us a rundown. Motor, graphs, everything.
I had a Phoenix 919. Got that in 2016, 17. Had that for a couple of years. Sold to a guy local here. Then I bought the 921 or the 920 Elite, because I wanted the bigger deck and the lower gunnels and the flipping deck and all that kind of stuff. Absolutely love that boat. It's super fast. It drives really well. It's smooth. And I'm running just 2 graphs right now. I'm not crazy with the 5 graphs up front. And,
right.
I'm running Lawrence like a Ghost up front, and then they like a 12 and a 12.
Okay.
Are you my style? I fish shallow, so.
So are you not really like a forward-facing sonar guy?
I love it.
Yeah.
For smallmouth, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Like it's a blast. And for largemouth, like offshore and stuff in the summertime, it's really fun to fish with it and crappie and stuff. But
yeah,
I'll probably add another graph this spring.
Right on.
Heck yeah. That's actually how I think I originally found you a couple of years ago. I was looking at buying a Phoenix and came across some of your videos on YouTube, and that's like how I originally saw you, because I ended up buying a 919 a couple of years ago now. So yeah. So I got a 2016 919, and I absolutely love it. It's been awesome so far. Jordan, we've only fished the Grove out of it, haven't we? Me and you?
Yeah. We've never gone.
Yeah.
I've never got to go over 5 miles an hour, which I think it goes faster than that. But
it goes a little faster than that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're fast.
Just don't tell my wife.
They're fast. My 919 was quick. It was like 77.
Holy moly!
Yeah,
that's really fast. Yeah.
Were you pushing a 200 on the back of it, Trey, or what'd you have on it?
I was running a 225
or 225. I'm sorry. Yeah.
And then I run the 250 on this one.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are you running the new Merc on that one?
Yeah.
I remember the first time had to be, what was it, 18 or 19 those came out? 19?
I think 19.
Yeah, it was right before COVID.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was. I remember the first time I heard one of those fire up, I was like, "Ooh, baby!" Like like that sort of like Harley Davidson, like low. Oof, I still love it.
It is a V8 block, so
it is.
I just straight piped it and then shut it off. So
yeah, it's really clean. Awesome. I love the way those puppies sound. But all right, so let's transition over. Let's get into what I think is unique and needed and whatever. But tell us about the other side of your business outside of painting lures, all the real cleaning, customization, kind of upgrading, all that stuff. So
on my website, that pricing is not correct.
Uh-oh.
So thanks.
Sorry.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I just haven't. So I got the website hacked like a year ago.
Oh gosh,
it's been horrible.
That's stupid.
Try and figure it out. So I might scrap the whole thing and have to start over again. So most guys actually contact me through like Instagram and Facebook, and I just
sure.
Stuff. So, but my pricing still, for what you're getting, is still great. So it hasn't slowed down, which is a good thing. Like even raising the pricing. And I just want to keep raising it because I'm getting so many reels in.
Yeah.
What's the ceiling going to be? Is it going to be 3,000 reels a year? 4,000? Like what's that going to be? So.
Well, yeah, you brought it up. What are you doing right now? How many are you doing a year right now, do you think?
My busiest time is November to April.
Sure, makes sense.
60 to 100 a week.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe.
Man, that's wild.
Holy nuts. That is not what I thought you were going to say. Because in one of your videos recently, you were talking about that, what's that bearing company you always use?
The Bocas.
Bocas, yeah. You're talking about Boca bearings, and you said something about like, these are ABEC 7s versus ABEC 3s, and I've taken ABEC 3s out of thousands of reels, and I was like, oh, come on. Is that an accurate number? But clearly that's probably, you probably could have said tens of thousands.
I order from them 3 times a month, maybe.
Wow.
At least I try to.
Yeah.
It starts downturning like in May. Well, May's okay. June's okay. But then you get like July, August, September, October. Those are really quiet months, which is completely fine because I'm fishing usually. So it works out. But yeah, I work on so many reels right now. It's literally from 7:30 when I get into the shop here until whenever.
Wow.
I can pull 12-hour days.
Like, wow. What do you? Yeah, that's crazy. What do you see primarily? What do you see primarily out of that? Is it cleanings, or is it upgrades, or is it just like a mixture of all of it?
Mixture of everything. I just had a guy send in 19, another guy send in 27, and I'll spend a day and a half, 2 days trying to knock everything out, like as much as I possibly can, because I know what's coming down the pipeline from guys emailing me and giving me like shipping info and all that kind of stuff. So I know, like, hey, I got to bang out these 40 reels because I got another 70 coming.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get behind because, granted, I've got guys up north that are like, yeah, you can take your time. I got 3 more months before ice out. But like, I don't want to have boxes stacked everywhere. And I try to knock out everything. I just need to get everything in and out as efficiently and as quick as possible.
Wow.
Is this what you do? Is this like your full-time gig, or do you have like a full-time? Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. I used to work for Apple, and then I transitioned to this when I got my X amount of people that were coming in.
Right.
So I just did the transition. So
good for you, man.
For Apple for like 9 years, and then the website you need to quit because you can't do full-time Apple and then full-time your business. She's like, you
sure.
quit, just run your business full time and take the dive.
Wow. Who said that to you?
My wife.
Dude, that's a good wife, man. Honestly,
Yeah,
like for not
awesome.
being funny, that's awesome to have somebody that would support you, push you, encourage you. This is not the same, but it is the same.
Yeah.
But when we go to like tackle shops, Lola's always the one that wants to buy more lures. So it's not as big of a deal, but it's pretty it's pretty encouraging. So
don't get me wrong, it took me 2 years to quit.
Yeah. I mean, that's scary, dude. Like scary and exciting all mixed up.
Oh, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked for Apple. I mean, it's Apple Computers, like one of the biggest companies in the world.
Right.
I've been there for 9 years, and it was like, cool. I go to work, come home, I'm done.
Got it.
Now it's like I'm awake and I work and I go to bed, you know, and just trying to hustle as much as possible, trying to gain people to come to your business. It's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah. That's awesome. So tell us this might sound stupid, but I want to hear it from somebody like you who knows your crap forwards and backwards. What's the benefit of really taking apart a reel and properly cleaning it?
So your popular reels, Daiwa, Shimano, come really dry from the factory internally.
Is that a good thing or bad thing?
For you, it's probably not a great thing. I mean, they literally use like a dollop of a little bit of grease and a little bit of oil here, and that's it. Like, there's no grease on the gears. There's no grease on like the clutches and all this stuff. So over time, especially if you fish like salt or brackish water, it's going to be terrible for your reels because there's no protection against the salt water.
Sure.
Freshwater guys, they just get dirty, just really, really dirty. And you can get dirt in your bearings, your gears. So I just go through everything, disassemble all the reels, and then clean them and put them back together the way they should be, and put the proper oil and grease and, make them smoother. A lot of times guys are like, dang, like that's better than factory.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, that's really dope. How did you start doing that? Did you just notice in your own reels that they needed to be cleaned up, lubed up, upgraded, or what got you down that road?
Yeah, I've always been like a tackle reel enthusiast.
Sure.
I mean, really, like my first baitcaster was like a Kratos or a Chronarch Super Free. Like, I've always been into tackle. And reels, for one, was like, I don't know, there's something about them. Like that I just really got into reels and getting like these cool, unique Japanese reels. Like guys were into Japanese cars like Skyline R34s.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
We could do cars on another. But
we could. Yeah, we could.
I do reels, and I absolutely love working and tinkering and making reels better because honestly, I think it's just a better experience for someone who wants to go fishing. Like there's $300 reels and there's $500 reels and $500 rods that guys enjoy using while they're out fishing fish.
Yeah, I love that.
So,
so let me ask you this. Sorry, Nate, I'm asking all the questions here.
You're good.
I'm really intrigued by all this. So a quick personal story, Trey. When I first started fishing tournaments, I think it was back in 1890 or something like that. I had a really crappy, I'm talking about doo-doo quantum bait casting reel that I got as a part of a quantum rod and reel combo at Bass Pro Shops.
Sure.
And I was a non-boater. And the feller I was fishing with, I was telling him, I'm like, dude, I really want to get good at bait casters. When I watch fishing videos, everybody uses bait casters. When I go to derbies, everybody uses bait casters. I like how you can thumb it down to slow it down to like stop you can get more accurate, whatever. I'm like, but I can't do it. I can't figure it out. And he said, well, your first problem is that reel. And then he handed me a Shimano Corrado. I don't remember it was a green one. I don't remember exactly what model. And all of a sudden it was like, whoa, I can use a bait caster. Give me your opinion, Trey, on the difference in terms of like, you get what you pay for. I know you're a big Daiwa guy, so whatever brand you want to use as an illustration, but to anybody who's listening, who maybe hasn't super dove into bait casters yet, but wants to, what would you recommend to somebody kind of starting out and the difference between the amount you pay and the quality of the reels and performance and all that crap?
I will say over the last, I would say 10 to 12 years, reels have gotten way better. like across the board from like your $60 or $70 reels all the way up to your $400 reels.
Mm-hmm.
Like honestly, Daiwa back in the 90s, 2000s made garbage, like cheap reels, like inexpensive reels. They're terrible. They were horrible reels because they focused on the TDZ and the Steves, and those were $400 or $500 reels, and that was their market. But yeah, nowadays, man, you can get reels $100, $120 right now, like SLXs and the Fuego and Blues and stuff. Dude, they're way ahead of what they were.
That's cool.
Which is awesome. But yeah, I mean, if you're spending, it just depends on your budget. You know, if your budget's $200, there's a ton of reels out there that are phenomenal for $200.
Okay. Yeah.
You got one in mind with that you would say, like, if you have $150 budget, like in your mind, what's the best reel you can get for that money?
The Tatula 100 or the SLX has been great.
Yeah.
Right.
Those are two really good reels. Luz makes a good reel. I'm just not a Luz fan just because I'm just not a Luz fan. There's no like heritage on Luz. There was like originally when they made like the reels from Japan and stuff, and there's more, you know, backstory to them now. Now they're just like an OE reel that 7 other manufacturers come in the same factory and make their reels to their spec. So, you know, like Daiwa and Shimano have their own factories. They own their own factories. They do their own R&D, everything. So they're like top of the top.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the tell us about in your expertise, tell us about the ball bearing game. I remember when I worked at Gander Mountain, the question I got every effing time that somebody who didn't really know fishing, how many bearings does that reel have? Oh, that Quantum says it has like 13 and this Daiwa's only got 7. I'll go with the 13. Tell people about the importance of bearings and the differences.
I kind of equated to when I worked for Harpel, it was kind of like the gigahertz wars of like PC and Mac.
Sure,
and like, well, this PC is running at 4.5 gigahertz. Mac's only run at 2, but it's more efficient and all this kind of stuff. Like that Shimano that you used, I think I only had 3 bearings. Yeah. Phenomenal reel. Honestly, it's probably one of the greatest Shimanos they've ever made. And it only had 3 bearings. Yep. It's not just about bearings, it's quality of bearings. Shimano and Daiwa get the pick of the litter of the bearings first. And everybody else gets their bearings and, you know, great reel.
That's a good one. Yeah. Bantam Corrado, that's such a sick reel, dude.
Yeah, old school.
And that's
really old school.
That's a cranking reel, probably.
I'm about to say that's a perfect crankbait reel.
Yep. Yeah, that reel's amazing. And like,
I still use that today. Like, I still use that. I'll throw deeper cranks on that thing still to this day, and it casts like a rocket. Like,
and it's crazy because that thing was like $119 when it came out in 96, 97.
Yeah,
you probably still get $120 from it if it's
easily.
Yeah, they sell like crazy.
Yeah, for sure. So what should people look for then, Trey, in your opinion, if they're looking to get a new reel, not get wrapped up in the bearings, you know, like you said, for $150, you can get like the Tatula 100, which I just bought 3 of recently. What should people look for? Yeah,
I mean, the bearing count kind of is it's good and bad. So there's really good quality bearings. So if you have 13 bearings in your Steez CT, that reel's $600. Like,
right, that's different.
You know, you're getting a whole package there. And that's what I do to a lot of reels is like the Tatula, I can add 5 more bearings or 6 more bearings to it and bring it all the way up. But it's quality bearings and it's smoother and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of those bearings are in like the knobs. Knobs usually have 2 bearings or bushings. And so that's 4 bearings right there. So if you take those out, now you're down to what, 9? And so there's other bearings, you know, I guess smoke and mirrors. You know,
that's interesting.
But yeah, it's just quality. And there's so much more quality, like the gear cuts and the materials they're using inside and your frame material. You know, if you're using an aluminum frame, your reel's going to be more rigid and not flex. And if you're fighting a big fish, the reel's not going to break and your gears won't become misaligned.
Right. Yeah. So you said that there's some of those higher end reels, they have bearings on the inside and outside of the actual knob on the handle?
Yeah, there's an upper and a lower bearing.
Okay.
So there's one at the bottom, I'll show you right here. So there's a bearing here.
That's crazy.
Yeah, wow.
There's a bearing here and a bearing here. So this is like, just spinning.
And what did you do something to that? That's customized, yes?
Yeah, so this is one of my personal reels. This is a one of one in the world. Daiwa TDZ. I call it my Lamborghini reel because it has been painted in the Lamborghini factory, Lamborghini Gallardo orange. It is the factory color. So
what?
Yes.
That's crazy.
How did you? How?
Yeah, that's a good question. How?
I knew a guy over in Italy that I did real work for.
What?
And he had this reel, and so I did a little trading, and I did everything in my power to get this reel because it was I don't know. I absolutely love the color. I'm an orange fan, so
it's awesome.
So I added like a carbon handle, and it's fully tricked out. Like, it's ridiculous. I used to fish it a ton, but kind of put it aside just because it's just super rare. And and you can tell it's all auto paint because they did it as thick as they would as like a car.
Yeah.
Instead of like a reel. So it's it's pretty awesome.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That was actually painted in a Lamborghini factory.
Painted at the Lamborghini factory.
Shut up, dude. That's wild.
Lamborghini Gallardo orange. I don't know how he did it, but yeah, we exchanged a ton. And I was like, awesome.
Dude, that's like that Johnny Cash song where he sneaks out the car one part at a time. That dude like snuck the reel into the factory like one part at a time. He went like the other way and had it all painted up. Gosh, dog it, that's dope, dude. I'm so jealous. But yeah, that handle, good Lord, that thing spins like a top.
Yeah, it's all.
Which makes sense. I mean, that's your connection to the reel. Why wouldn't you want it super smooth?
Yeah, I mean, this is just a steez.
Just a steez.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I mean, that's if you're eliminating friction, everything's going to smooth it for you. So
yeah.
That's really cool. One thing I was listening to you talk about on a video was ABEC ratings, which, unless I'm getting this wrong, you'll have to correct me, Trey, but I used to work at a skateboard shop back in the day, and people would ask that all the time. What's the difference on ABECs? What's the difference on ABECs? And I would always tell people, from my understanding, it's how polished and how smooth the bearing actually is. So like if you have a 3, it's not as polished and not as going to roll as fast as like a 7, so like, you can do ceramics and whatever else that make it even faster, or for skateboarding faster, but for our purposes and reels smoother. Is that correct? Just more polished?
I guess it's more so. An ABEC rating is, I think, used really for German bearings and I think a US standard, but it's more of like tolerances. So you'll have like ABEC 1s, and they're not going to be as tight tolerance, so it'll be a little sloppier, opposed to like your 5s and your 7s. I've got some ABEC 9s that are from Boca, but they're from France. I think they're like $100 a pair.
Holy crap!
Is what they were going. So they gave me a couple to try out. And I'm like, I don't see the difference. Like, there's no
really.
Yeah, I mean, your spool can only spin so fast.
True.
I mean, they're doing like maybe 25,000 RPM or something, which is fast, but like you're not going to see an extra 2,000 RPM is not going to
performance difference. Yeah.
Yeah, and for the cost, the ABEC 5s and 7s are amazing. So
yeah, that's cool. That's really neat.
Yeah, so I run ABEC 7s on the spool bearings, and then guys can, if they want ABEC 7s for their knobs and worm gear bearings and all that kind of stuff, I'll get them. Or I run 5s, either one. But like Japanese, they don't use an ABEC rating.
Oh, really?
At all. Like there's a great company called ZPI. They make some of the best bearings in the world.
Yep.
Yeah.
Non-ABEC. Because there's no standard for the Japanese.
They're just not rated there. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
They're just all really good. Is that what it is?
Probably.
They don't have to put them on a scale. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, we make really good bearings.
Yeah, it's like when you go to a restaurant and there's no prices on the menu, you're like, oh crap. Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay. Which, I mean, they're not much more expensive than like Boca's, but they're harder to get. They're harder to source. They used to be much easier, but now they're much harder to get.
That's dope.
So what's a typical like bearing upgrade cost? If I was to send in a reel, I say I want a bearing upgrade on it. What would be the cost on that?
So if I did so you just got those Tatula 100s. Mm-hmm. Let's say you fish them for the season, you want them, so it'd be $25 for cleaning, spool polish, and then another $25 for the bearing. So you're looking $50 for cleaning, install, bearings, spool polish, and then you're shipping back.
Wow, that's not bad at all, dude. Honestly.
No, heck no.
And again, just so anybody who hears this or watches this knows, we have no business affiliation with Trey whatsoever. So we're not gonna like infomercial you and be like, wow, that's a good deal. What else can they buy, Trey? I'm just saying that's actually a good deal to get improved performance out of the thing that you're so freaking, like I'll spend $50 on a single jerkbait. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or some weird Japanese something that people don't have and whatever. So to spend $50 to make your reel work significantly better. And what kind of improvements do you see then, Trey, if you did what you just said, as far as the bearings and the cleaning and the whatever?
So, like my bearings and stuff, I could charge I think MSRP on them or mat pricing on them for like Tackle Warehouse, like $42 or something, which it's insane.
Yeah.
So I get them so much from them that I'm like, I'm not gonna charge people like $45 for bearings. But you can get distance out of them.
Okay.
The bearings are gonna be more consistent. Ease of casting, so you can. Instead of like leaning back and making a cast, you can just flip your wrist and cast.
Okay.
You can also cast lighter weights on them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that could be really useful for sure.
Yeah, and you can run them. And the bearings I use are ceramic hybrids, so it's ceramic balls and a stainless steel runner. So you can run them dry, or you can run them with a drop of oil.
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool.
They're pretty easy to maintain.
Yeah, so like I honestly didn't even know you could swap out the bearings on the handle, like on the grip itself. Yeah. What other things do you do to reels?
So you can upgrade. Depends. Like on the Tatulas, you can do bearings on the knobs on the handle, and then you can upgrade the worm gear where your like T-wing goes back and forth.
Mm-hmm, yep.
You can upgrade the 2 bushings on each side to bearings. Makes it smoother. Also makes it more rigid. So when you're fighting fish, there's no flex.
There's
no flex in the.
That's awesome.
The T-wing.
Yeah.
Like if you're putting pressure on that T-wing, your worm gear is flexing on those 2 bushings. It just makes it stiffer.
Yeah.
And then I do a lot of cleanings and a lot of spool polishing and super tuning and all that kind of stuff.
Wow. What all is involved in a cleaning? I suppose it's different from reel to reel, but what all are you taking apart? How much work are you doing on a cleaning?
Yeah. Do you have like a basic and like a full send?
Everything's full.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like
all in.
You could do it. Like the customer can do a basic. Like I've done some videos and stuff. Like if you just want to do a quick cleaning in your boat or at home or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I literally take the reel completely apart to all the springs and gears and clean everything, flush everything, and then reapply what I think is better oil and better grease to make the reel smoother.
Okay.
And hopefully last longer because guys are spending $200-$300 on a reel or $500 on a reel and they have 20 of them or 10 of them. So if you can keep that reel for 10 years, awesome.
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't be a disposable product.
I like that. Yeah, that's very true.
I mean, some guys spend hundreds of dollars on reels, so
yeah.
Hopefully, it lasts them 10 years. Like that Corrado, it's a 25-year-old Corrado.
Yeah, still ripping.
Still works perfect.
Yep.
Yeah,
which kind of just brought something to my mind. I have a couple Lew's reels, which you mentioned you're not the biggest fan of, but
great reels. I'm just not a fan of them.
Yeah, no, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah,
but
all good.
I've got a couple that I would call like higher end ones, like Team Lights and stuff like that. And in the cold, and by cold I mean like,
does your handle go backwards?
Why? Why does the handle go backwards?
He called you out before you finished describing it.
Yeah, so I've been in contact with Lew's for a very long time.
Why does it do that?
And they know exactly what the issue is, but they will not fix it in the factory.
Oh my goodness.
It is the anti-reverse bearing on your handle. So there is a bearing right here. That's a roller bearing. It's a one-way roller bearing. And they put too much of whatever oil they're using on that roller bearing. And when it gets below 43 degrees, it snaps backward. That oil is either freezing or gumming up whatever's going on. So it slips. You can either replace it or you can take your handle off and take like the drag star and all that stuff off.
Yeah.
And you can run like a Q-tip and get all that oil out with like an alcohol wipe. Once that oil's out, you should be good. But yes, I know exactly what you do because every guy around here throwing jerk baits.
Yeah.
In the cold, yep.
43 degrees in the fall. I'm like, I know exactly why you're contacting me. And they're like, yep, my handle is going backwards. I'm like,
wow.
Yeah, and it's crazy. A factory issue thing. All they have to do is stop putting oil in their AR bearing and they're good to go.
Wow, dude.
Yep.
That's awesome. Talk about a guy who knows his stuff. We mentioned that.
Yeah, specific answer on the money, knew the degree. That's awesome. Dang, Trey, I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount I see, and it's kind of frustrating that it's so simple. Like, just tell your people to stop doing it. Yeah. It's really simple.
So what you were saying, we're kind of going backwards here, Trey. You were saying that Lose is not necessarily completely unique in their manufacturing process, like Shimano or Daiwa is, in terms of like mass producing or other companies kind of in the same warehouse, or
so anything, so like Lose, Abu, Fluger, even the like $200 Cast Kings now, anything that says Korea is all made in the same factory.
Anything that says what?
Korea. Like made in Korea.
Yeah.
It's all made in the same factory. So there's like a giant, massive book, and you can go in there if you have a ton of money and say, hey, I want my logo on this reel, this part, this knob, and all this stuff. And you're kind of like piecing stuff together and good to go.
Wow.
Yes. There are the same companies that actually have like proprietary, the way they do stuff, like a spool, like the arc reels and stuff like that.
Sure.
But they're all being manufactured. Like they're still getting the same AR bearings and typically the same gears and all that kind of stuff.
Crazy. And Daiwa and Shimano are doing everything themselves.
They're doing everything themselves. They have the Japanese factories, and then they have like their Malaysia and Thailand factory, I think.
Wow.
So those are the only two factories. So they have their own quality control and all that kind of stuff. And that's what it comes down to, is quality control.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yep. Yeah. Why are you such a Daiwa fan?
Because so back in the day, they used to be paired with, they used to do a lot of collaborations with Megabass.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yep.
So there'd be like Megabass, TZs, like Yuki Ito, the designer of Megabass, made all these.
Yeah, like a Daiwa reel with cool Megabass, like translucent side plates or whatever.
That one.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yep, that's the one.
This is a Megabass.
Yeah.
Combo,
yeah, I know that reel.
Which used to be, well, it's the same frame as like the Daiwa Soul, which is the orange reel that they made 10 years ago. Megabass just took it and made it insanely cool.
Made it really cool, which is kind of what Yuki does. Yeah, he's a genius.
Yeah. So I just kind of like gravitated towards that style of reel. I mean, they just made some really cool looking reels, color wise, and just really neat stuff. BFS stuff back in the day before BFS was really cool.
Right.
But yeah, I just love their stuff. I mean, Shimano makes phenomenal reels as well.
They do. Yeah. What do you think about some of the new weird crap? Like is it Cast King, I think, that came out with that iCast reel and some of that stuff?
It's great marketing.
There it is. All right. That's an honest answer.
You're marketing towards video game kids.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to know how fast your crankbait's cranking through the water and
how many casts you made for the day with that reel, at least.
Yeah, like, and I think they're pairing them now with like maybe sunglasses or something. So you can like have the heads up display on your glasses. It's really cool technology. It's really neat.
But
you don't need. Like, you just made a 37-foot cast.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you go like, I made my next cast was only 35. I got to get it 18 inches farther out, then I'll catch the fish.
And they try to justify like, oh, but you can look when you caught your fish. You can say, hey, I cranked it at 2.67 miles an hour, and I can replicate that and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, but if you fish enough, man, you know, like you make 1,000 casts a day or 2,000 casts a day throwing a square bill or a spinnerbait or something. So it's neat technology, though. It's cool to see what's going to happen in 10 years.
Yeah. So outside of your Lamborghini reel, what's another reel there that you're like super pumped on, that you're proud of? Doesn't have to be like the most expensive, something that you love.
Man.
Sorry to put you on the spot. What can you show us?
Let me see.
He's got them all over. He don't know what to do.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Probably this guy right here. This is a Daiwa Pixie.
Okay, tell us about it.
This was probably one of the first BFS reels.
Oh.
That Daiwa came out with, I would say 2004.
Okay.
2003. They made a couple of variants of this. They made a red, silver, orange, and yellow. Orange one, unfortunately, is only right-handed, so I don't use it. It's just I've always been into white BFS stuff. I haven't owned a spinning reel in 15 years.
Really? Because you throw everything. Yes.
Everything is on BFS.
Wow. Yeah. So it's funny. Well, you said BFS Daiwa 04, but like BFS, which Trey, give us a 10-second explanation of what BFS is for anybody who doesn't know.
Throwing stupid light baits on a baitcaster.
Yeah. It's like finessey stuff that you should really only throw on spinning technically, but now we're doing it on bait casting because of the obvious advantages you get with using a bait casting reel, and they're making gear specific for throwing that teeny stuff. But that's really like getting big just in the last, year and a half, 2 years here? But you're saying they've been putting out reels for it since 04?
3 years probably here. I would say I'd say 2020, 2021.
Okay.
But then Daiwa made that. They made a Presso, which is like the trout version of it, which I've got. It's an awesome reel. But it was so ahead of its time. Like nobody knew what it was. And so you could only get them over in Japan, and Japanese have been doing it for 25, 30 years. So they have a whole different mindset of fishing over there compared to what we have here.
Yeah. And
that's why if you buy a reel from Japan, it's a little different gear-wise from what we have here. Because we fish like 65-pound braid, throwing 2-ounce baits, and they need over there. It's a lot of finesse stuff. So a lot of that is now coming over here, and it's blowing up way more than. It's kind of the opposite spectrum as swim baiting.
Yeah.
So it's just different. It's awesome though. I love it. I've caught. It's so fun smallmouth fishing with BFS stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
It's cool.
Yeah, I mean, remember you caught that, Jordan? You caught that fish throwing that Ned up there on was it when we were up on Fence?
Yeah,
you were throwing that Ned rig on that bait casting.
Bait caster, which nobody does.
No.
Yeah, it is really fun. Yeah, be able to have a little bit more backbone on them, being a little more specific with your casts. I've not invested in like BFS specific stuff, but I definitely try and use some smaller stuff on bait casting, and I like it a lot better. I mean, even in the river, Nate, where you and I used to fish on 15, and I would throw those really, they were like the Lucky Craft square bill size that were like a 1, not a 1.5. So a lot of people struggle to throw. Yeah. A lot of people struggle to throw that on a bait caster, but when you can, and you're bouncing it, off rip wrap, deflecting, and then you get that pop to reel that in on bait casting feels so much better than spinning. I think it gives you a lot more confidence. I think, the casting accuracy is better. Yeah.
It's just fun. Sure. I turn my buddies onto it up when we go up north to like St. Clair and stuff. And they're like, man, it's so much better. Why am I even using a spinning?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I just had a conversation at the ramp. I don't remember what derby it was this year. Me and a couple fellers were talking about BFS stuff, and they were like, "Oh, you mean a marketing ploy when I can just use a spinning rod and reel?" And I was like, I don't know that it's that. I said, Japanese have been using that thing for they say decades, and it seems like a lot of our techniques, drop shotting to hover strolling to free rigging to, I mean, whatever else you want to throw in there, came from Japanese way after they were doing it. So if
ice, all that stuff. Like,
yeah, I mean, you might want to pay attention.
Yeah, I mean, I know guys like their spinning reels and stuff, but I can't stand it.
You don't?
Yeah, I used to have some, but I just no, I just don't. I don't work on them at all either because they're so hard to work on.
Yeah, I bet they are. But they're a lot harder than a bait casting. Well, anyway, let's start wrapping her up a little bit. Nate, you got any more questions for this reel genius?
Yeah, I mean, I just had I wanted to transition back just a hair on like if you mentioned you might have a video out on it, but if somebody wants to do like a basic reel cleaning, like where do they start? Like what's the breakdown? You know, what do they clean? What do they oil? You know, stuff like that.
Let's see. I got a buddy's reel I'm knocking out here. Let me see if I can get this. It's so weird trying to do.
It is. It's so goofy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So essentially, this like the worm gear right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really dirty, like really dirty. The worst thing really for reels is braid, because braid attracts all the grime, dirt, everything in the water, and it just slings it into your reel. But you can clean this using like a Q-tip. Super easy. Clean it until it's shiny chrome again or aluminum, and you can oil each end of the worm gear, and then put a little bit of grease on the worm gear, and you're good to go. The other thing, we've got a lot of guys, like a lot of the new Daiwas coming out are screaming. They'll screech pretty good, just because their bearings are dry. So you can there's a side plate bearing and there's a bearing on the tension knob.
Mm-hmm.
And you just do a drop of oil on those.
That's it? One drop?
Yep. One drop is good because if you do more than one drop, it usually just slows down the bearings.
Oh, interesting. And what oil do you prefer? I know there's a million kinds out there.
So I'm using, for general maintenance, the Lucas oil.
Oh, yeah.
You can get it at Tackle Warehouse or anybody.
Yep.
Right.
This is great oil on everything but bearings because it's thicker. I use ZPI bearing, this stuff right here from Japan.
Okay.
Really nice oil. It's like $25 or $30. It'd probably last a normal person like 20 years, probably. It's really good.
1,000 reels. Yeah.
There's another stuff called like Doothlon. This is really good stuff too.
Doothlon. Okay.
Yep, it is from Germany, maybe.
Okay.
Great oil, but you can get like this little like kit, like a maintenance kit. It comes with these tiny little grease things.
Oh, cool.
So there's two of those. There's like a liquid grease and there's a ceramic grease. So that's pretty good stuff too. I use all of it, and then grease wise, I use like the Daiwa grease. Oh,
smart. Yes, I was going to ask, do you ever use the lube that comes in the boxes when you buy them?
Yeah, the Daiwa, like the Shimano oil is great oil. The Daiwa oil is good. Even the Luz oil. I think the Luz oil now is just Lucas oil. So it's the same stuff. Like if you go to Tackle Warehouse and you look at like Luz oil, it's like $9. If you look at Lucas oil, it's like $6, and it's literally the same thing.
That's funny.
They just mark it up and put it on because Luz needs their cut too. So
yeah,
but it's literally like the same oil.
Yeah, that's cool.
So if you were to do like a basic cleaning and lubing, would something like that ZPI oil like enhance your performance? You know, that alone without doing any bearing upgrades or anything like that?
If you flush your bearing.
If you flush them, okay.
Yeah, if you flush.
What would that involve? For
just taking the bearings out, and you can put it in like a little jar of what is this? Like paint thinner.
Okay.
Or
acetone or something.
Acetone or CRC brake fluid. That stuff's really harsh, but it'll flush your bearings.
Right.
And probably flush your fingers off too, but it's good stuff. But yeah, that's pretty. So the hard part, Shimano's a little easier because most of their bearings are external to get to. That Tatula, to get to that tension knob bearing, you gotta actually take the reel part.
Okay.
Which is
I wanted to ask you a question specifically about that. A long time ago, I had what I thought was a dope bait casting combo. I don't remember what it was, but I loved it. It was like a cheaper Shimano bait casting reel. I don't remember. I really can't remember. It wasn't Corrado or anything, but gosh dog it, I wish I could remember. Anyway, it got really dirty one time because I probably just didn't clean it or take care of it well enough. And I thought I could watch the old year turbs and take it apart and clean it. How far do you, and so the long story short is I couldn't get it back together, bent the crap out of springs. Like, I mean, right. I really took it apart and then it looked like it exploded and I couldn't get it back together and I don't know what I ended up doing with it. But anyway, where do you recommend people who don't know what the F they're doing, where do you recommend that they stop as far as like a cleaning process? Because you can go too far to a point where if you don't have experience, it's a bomb.
Yeah, it can get pretty bad. I mean, there's definitely videos. My buddy Tackle Junkie has like cleaning videos and stuff on YouTube. But man, if you don't want to deal with springs and all these like little washer
clips and
so like drag washers they're not built the same. They're bent for a reason. And if you don't put them in the correct position, then you're not getting any drag. And
oof, gosh.
So yeah, there's like a washer, and there's a plate, and there's two drags, and there's a flat plate, and all this stuff. So if they're not in the right position, you're going to set the hook, and you'll be like, I got 1 pound of drag, and it's already cranked on. I'm like, well,
eesh.
Your washers are messed up. So you just have to be cognizant of like, you can take your reel apart and just place everything in order that you took it apart. Makes it a little bit easier if you lay everything out on like a towel or your table or something.
Yeah.
Or you can just send it to me and I'll just knock them off with.
Yeah, I think that's probably a better idea, man. I think that's what I would lean
the way to go. Yeah,
that's really funny. Trey, thank you so much for being a part of our little podcast, man. You are awesome guest, smart, articulate. We really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us, dude.
Yeah, man, it was a good time. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
It sucks the Bills lost though.
I know, dude. Honestly, like the last 2 days have not been my favorite in terms of football. But I think my team, and I'm not like a fan, but I think from here on in, I'm going to be cheering for the Lions. I mean, they've just been so bad for so long. There's nobody on that team that I dislike. I think their head coach might be part caveman, but I like him. And
it's just a good story. And I think it's going to be Baltimore versus San Francisco though. But
yeah, I think you're right. I don't see, honestly, right now, I don't see anybody beating the Ravens. It was honestly like they toyed with the Texans the other day. It was like they were like a shark, like picking off a fins before they ate the fish, and then they just tore them to pieces. I mean, it was. Yeah,
I mean, you could tell that they had an extra week off because it took them a while, and
it was like, okay, it was like when you played basketball in like 5th grade, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna start playing for real now. But then they actually did, and they actually started playing for real now. But all right, Trey, we appreciate you, man. You can go ahead and hang up, man, and we'll stay in contact with you. Thank you.
Awesome, man. You guys have a good night.
All right, brother. You too.
Appreciate it. Peace.
Bye. All right, so that's the new friend, the new dude, Trey Harpel. Look him up, TH Custom or TH Customs, depending on what social media or YouTube or what year turb or whatever. And the custom is with a K. What'd you think, Nate?
Hey, I'm stoked on that. I think that went quite well. You know, like we said, he's a guy with a lot of irons in the fire, if you will. He's got a lot going on, but it seems like the things he is doing, he does very well. Like you said, there's no, I asked, does he have like levels of cleaning? And no, everything's full
all
out. If I'm going to do it, it's all the way or not at all. And that's awesome. I mean, if you're going to put the time in, you might as well do it right. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Also, how cool was it? So you start talking about that lose thing. You didn't really even get to the end of what you were going to describe.
No.
He not only knew what you were referring to, but said the specific temperature that it occurs at, like right away. Knew the fix for it that you could do yourself, and knew like where the issue came from in terms of like from the factory.
Yeah, that's awesome. I couldn't believe that. Yeah, pretty wild. And like I said, it happens on a few of the higher end, loose reels that I have. Like, I'm spending, $250 on a reel. I don't want it back spooling when I'm trying to throw a jerk bait,
like an old spinning reel where you can backwind it.
Exactly. I go to set the hook on a jig fish, and yeah, the whole reel, spins backwards, and I don't get a hook set or something like that's brutal. And yeah, for him to know exactly what I was talking about right off top,
right out of the giddy. Yeah. Sorry, has that happened on your Hypermags at all or no?
Yeah, on the
has
older,
it really?
I have a newer Hypermag that has never happened to me on, and I have a one that's a few years older, maybe a year and a half or 2 years older. But it's happened on that. So it's happened on that. It's happened on the Lose Tournament Light, which is, $250 reel or, something like that. It's happened on a couple of the, and like I said, maybe like he said, it could be an oil thing, which some of them have more oil on them than others, which is why it doesn't happen on a few, but does happen on some others. But yeah, like a couple of the Tournament Pro Gs that I have, it's happened on as well. So
yeah, and that's like a $200. That's a $200 reel too.
Exactly. So
that should not be
talking to him, having a fix, having a solution. That's awesome. I'm stoked to be able to pull those out of the rod box here this winter and get them cleaned up and hopefully fixed for our next Lost Grove adventure when it's
we got to try and repeat. We got to try and defend the title.
39 and sleeting. So.
Yeah, this year, I don't know. There's got to be something I can do, man. I got to be able to like electric jacket or something. I got to be able to do something to be ready for that derby. You know what I really liked about Homeboy too is I feel like fishermen in general, whether it's like guys who are into custom paint or swapping out the hooks on baits or putting suspend dots on or realizing that your jerkbait runs at this depth on 10-pound fluoro versus this depth at 12-pound fluoro, or, and this is a fact, if you've never known this, anybody, your jerk baits or anything will change depth with the water temperature. There's so many variables and whatever, but I feel like fishermen are generally tinkerers. Like they like to mess with stuff. Like, they like to see why things work the way they do and whatever. And the cool thing with Trey is that I don't know this. I didn't ask him, but I 1,000,000% know that dude gets a reel, like a new reel, and I guarantee you he doesn't use it before he does his stuff to it. So like I'm only saying all that to say, like you just said, like, one reel will have this much grease, this reel will have that much grease from the factory. Well, if every reel you get, you take it apart and clean it out and then re-grease it, re-lube it, put different bearings in it. I mean, you're just starting out ahead of the game. You're eliminating the chance of not getting a right hook set. You're getting better casting. You know what I think it could really benefit too is dudes like me who like to skip under docks. I feel like having a reel decked out with the right bearings, the right amount of grease and lube, I think that could completely change the game.
Oh yeah, 100%. That definitely would change things up for you for sure.
Yeah, game changer.
Game changer. He's definitely a guy we're gonna have to get in contact with. Maybe try out some of these. Was it Buka bearings and
Boca?
Boca. That's what it was. Yeah, and trick some of these reels out and see what it's all about.
Yeah, I also wondered too, right? Like, could you sort of screw the system a little bit? Like, could you get like those Daiwa Tatula 100s that I bought? Could you get those for $150? Send them to him, spend $50 on each one. So now you have $200 invested in it, and it's performing like a $300 reel. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Like, because that's a thing, right? Like getting it set exactly how it should be set.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a thing that you could do, and he sounds like he's the man to put you on the right game for those for sure. So
yeah, I should honestly just do that. Like when I get back home after this week of training here, I should just send him those 3 reels and be like, dude, just have at it, charge me whatever, and just make them really dope. And just see how. Actually, you know what I should do? I should send in 2 of them. Keep one of them factory stock that I can like feel the performance difference.
Right. Yeah. Compare and contrast for sure. That'd be awesome. I think he does a lot with like reel replacement too, like swapping reels out, carbon reels and
like the handles and stuff.
Yeah. The handles. Yeah. I know he mentioned the bearings like in the reel knobs or the
that's pretty cool.
Knobs. That's awesome. That's definitely something I'm gonna have to look into to improve the fishing game, because that's what we're always out for, right?
Yeah, because I mean, I like the idea of when people upgrade, like change parts out on reels, and a lot of times they're doing it for like the aesthetic value, like putting a blue accent on it or a purple accent, or also purple is like blowing up right now. Purple is a hot color right now.
For sure.
It has been for a hot minute, but Aaron Martin's best dude ever was ahead of the curve on that one, boy. But like boats are coming out in purple options, purple on reels, and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, a lot of it was like just aesthetic. It was just to like make it look cooler, better, certain look, whatever. But yeah, I mean, like on the Daiwas, I really like all the Daiwas, but even the higher end ones, they don't have like that carbon handle, which can not only look cool, but it can cut back weight. And you can even get them like a 90 millimeter, like 100 millimeter, like a wider handle. You can get it with like that kind of fake cork on the grip, like a lot of those Mega Bass reels are. That was dope when I said something about that Daiwa Mega Bass collabo, and he goes, "Oh, like this one," and he pulls one up. I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah, that's awesome. Or that Lamborghini painted.
Oh my gosh, that can't be real, dude.
That's awesome.
That's ridiculous. And that's the funny thing about it. It's sort of like people who are really into collector shoes. Like it's dope to have the shoes, but you don't want to wear them. You got this bananas awesome reel, but you don't want to use it because it's painted in the Lamborghini factory.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah, really dope. So Lola, we love you. We missed you. Alexis, absolutely. Where's my taco? This was episode 41, which was proudly brought to you by Grizzly Coolers and Kenai Gear. You can look that up at grizzlycoolers.com. You can use the passcode. What's the word I'm looking for here? Use the coupon code, the shopping code, the discount code.
Discount code, that's one.
WCB, W like Walter, C like Charlie, B like boy, WCB. That'll get you 10% off on coolers, shirts, hats, soft-sided coolers, the tumblers, all the dope stuff that they make. We are honored to be brought to you by them. Giltech USA. That's at hookandarrowsupply.com. Awesome place run by some amazing human beings from Wisconsin, hardworking, incredibly well-designed lures, bow shop, everything you need, hookandarrowsupply.com. We're pumped, as always, to be a part of the Working Class Bowhunter Podcast Network. Them boys have really created a model, honestly, for podcasters on how to be a successful podcast. And the two keys here are be honest, be real, be yourself, and just be consistent. Put out content. They've been doing it since 2015. They're coming up on 10 years of podcasting. They've been killing the game before there even was a game. So much respect to those fellers. And then, of course, Waypoint TV, which we're working on getting all of our stuff on Waypoint TV for both audio, which we already have, and then video, so you can watch our video podcast. So again, huge shout out to our boy Trey, Harpel, TH custom with a K. You got to follow him on YouTube, follow him on social media. I honestly believe this might sound like an overstatement, but I think he could probably make you a better fisherman. Because if your gear is working better, running smoother, it's going to lead to less frustration. It's going to lead to better casting, fishing, fun, and that's kind of the whole thing, right, Nate?
That's for sure. Yeah. All that leads into enjoying your time on the water, and if your gear's making it more enjoyable, you're gonna naturally become a better fisherman. That's just the way it is. So
yeah. All right.
So that's it. That's it for this one, right? Positivity is worth the effort. Peace out, y'all.